Manchester United have blocked a move to Napoli. I think if that deal happens, then Newcastle will be ready to let Isak go. They're not willing to entertain loan offers. There's more chance this deal gets done than not. I think it's cheap, even with a 10% sell-on. I think it would be a really bad look on Ruben Amorim if Kobbie Mainoo was the latest to depart.
Hello, I'm Angelina Kelly and welcome to the Window talkSPORT's daily video transfer update and your go-to guide for all of the biggest football moves. Coming up, we will be getting the lowdown on Kobbie Mainoo, Alexander Isak, plus so much more. And I'm delighted to say joining me for, I think, the last time on the Window, it's Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent. How are you doing?
I'm feeling a bit emotional. The last one, it's been a busy summer, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, first up, I mentioned Kobbie Mainoo there. You and I are Manchester United fans. Let's get into this. Now, you have been across this Kobbie Mainoo story for a while now. Since the beginning, you got the exclusive that Mainoo would consider leaving Manchester United in this final week of the transfer window if the club receives a suitable offer. There are now reports that he wants a loan move, that the club are not interested in this. It's also worth noting that he's failed to agree a new contract with United. His current deal expires in 2027. So please give us an update. What is going on?
Well, when I broke this story on Monday morning, I said then that I envisaged it would be a difficult deal to do this late in the window. As you mentioned there, Kobbie's preference is to go out on loan. I don't think he necessarily wants to leave permanently his boyhood club, having come through the ranks there, but he does want to be playing week in, week out in a World Cup year. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel has named the England squad today. No real surprise that Kobbie isn't included. The likes of Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton, two rivals for that number 6 position, are. And if he's not playing, it's difficult to make a case for that to change between now and next summer. From Manchester United's perspective, they want him to stay. They want him to fight for his place in the team. They're not willing to entertain loan offers, as I understand it. I think one of the driving factors in that is that he's only earning in the region of £20,000 a week. So actually, there's no real financial saving from Manchester United loaning him out, particularly to a Premier League rival. There has been talk of interest from the likes of Bayern Munich and Napoli. There was one report this morning from our colleague at the Daily Mirror, Darren Lewis, that Manchester United have blocked a move to Napoli because they don't want another Scott McTominay situation on their hands where they let an academy product go and then he prospers and obviously he's nominated for the Ballon d'Or. So I personally empathise with Kobbie Mainoo. I was at Fulham last weekend when I first got wind of the fact that he was unhappy, partly I think because he sat on the bench and he sees Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount deployed as 2 number 6s in the second half of that game, which is clearly the position he wants to play in. Ruben Amorim was asked about that in his press conference afterwards, and he said he's got to fight with Bruno Fernandes. Well, Bruno's the captain, and we know that he's not going to be dropped, and also that's not Bruno's preferred position.
Yeah.
So I sympathise with Kobbie Mainoo. I think a lot of Manchester United fans do as well, and I've said it all week. Players like Mainoo should be part of the fabric of Old Trafford. It's part of Manchester United's DNA to always have an academy player in their squad. Obviously, Alejandro Garnacho has already been sold. Marcus Rashford, who's also come through the ranks, has been sent out on loan. I think it would be a really bad look on Ruben Amorim if Kobbie Mainoo was the latest to depart.
Do you think that in the back of Kobbie Mainoo's mind, he's thinking, this manager isn't having me. If I go on loan, this guy could get sacked and I can come back into the fold. Do you think he thinks that essentially he can outlive him?
Yeah, because that's what has happened at Manchester United. There has been a revolving door of managers. We're 9 months into this Amorim project now. At the moment, you have to say the experiment isn't working. They've not picked up enough points in the Premier League. We're talking in a week when they've been knocked out of the League Cup by Grimsby of League Two, one of the most embarrassing results of Manchester United's entire history, let alone of the Premier League era. So I think Kobbie will be thinking, well, maybe this guy is not going to be around this time next year, which is why he's not entertaining a permanent offer.
Now, for United fans, there's been a lot of discussion about the outgoings. There might be a little bit of good news I'm hearing regarding Alejandro Garnacho and this Chelsea move.
Yeah, the deal is agreed. I mean, you say good news. I think, again, a lot of United fans will be disappointed that the final figure is £40 million. You go back to January, when, again, we first got wind of the fact that both Kobbie and Alejandro Garnacho could be available because United were trying to balance the books, and any academy player who's sold goes down as 100% profit on the balance sheet. They were talking about £60 million for Garnacho then. Obviously, his relationship deteriorated with Ruben Amorim to the point of no return after that Europa League final, and that's why Chelsea have taken advantage and got him for as little as £40 million. United would say it's the most they've ever sold an academy player for, but I still think when you look at the market, you look at what Anthony Elanga went for, you look at what Morgan Gibbs-White has as a release clause or had as a release clause, you look at Eberechi Eze and his move to Arsenal, I think it's cheap, even with a 10% sell-on.
Switching gears now, I want to talk about Newcastle because you've been reporting about they have possibly got a deal for a new striker now. So talk to me about that, and also what will this mean for Alexander Isak and this saga that's been going on with him?
Yeah, this all happened very quickly on Thursday. I got a message at lunchtime saying that they're in for Nick Voltmarder at Stuttgart, a player they'd looked at earlier in the window. And then by Thursday tea time, a fee had been agreed, €75 million plus another €5 million in add-on. So it's a club record signing for Newcastle. Now, in terms of numbers, he's being billed as a replacement for Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
But in terms of the profile of the player, he is more of a replacement for Alexander Isak. Newcastle's still pushing in their pursuit of Johan Wissa. I think if that deal happens, then Newcastle will be ready to let Isak go and complete a British record move to Liverpool. But we're getting very close to the deadline for a deal of that magnitude to get done.
I mean, I guess good for Newcastle. I think this is the first time this window that they've got in for a player and actually managed to get the player without anyone else coming in and infiltrating it. But speaking about Isak and this move to Liverpool, which I think everybody at this point just wants it to happen and to get it over the line. But they're still interested also in Mark Gahey, aren't they? And that could still happen.
It could, and I think it was quite telling, Oliver Glasner's comments after their Conference League playoff on Thursday night, praising the professionalism of Mark Gahey, and I think we will have to echo that when you look at how the likes of Isak and Wissa have behaved this summer to try and force a move. He's not gone down that route, but he didn't give any guarantees, A, that Gahey would play for Palace this weekend, and B, that he would still be there come 7 o'clock when the window closes on Monday. My information is that Liverpool are still keen to do this deal. They feel they need numbers at the heart of their defence, having sold Jarrell Quansah. Obviously, Joe Gomez has had a lot of injury problems, and Konate hasn't started the season in stellar form. So if I was a betting man, I'd say there's more chance this deal gets done than not. And obviously that is an issue for Palace in terms of sourcing a replacement.
Do you think when you look at Liverpool, if they do get this deal over the line, do they actually have any weaknesses at this point? Because like you say, the defence was the issue. If they bring him in, that does really help them, doesn't it?
It does, because they've looked open defensively in the first couple of games of the season. I think that's partly because they're adapting to a new system, but it's partly because, as I say, Konate hasn't been brilliant either. And Gahey, I think we know what you get. He's rock solid in terms of the Premier League, and I would expect him to be England's first choice centre-back at the World Cup next summer. And finally, Chelsea, they've been linked to Xavi Simons for the majority of the summer. It seems like he's now heading to Tottenham, if I'm correct. So is there an update for who else Chelsea might go in for and this deal in general? Well, I don't think it will happen between now and Monday, but myself and Ben Jacobs have been reporting today that Adam Wharton, fresh from his call-up to the England squad, is very much on Chelsea's agenda, if not for this window, then certainly for future transfer windows. So that's one to keep an eye on. I think the reason they've not pulled the cord on Xavi Simons, a player they've been after all summer, is because the Garnacho deal is over the line, and obviously the squad is quite bloated. They've still got to get the likes of Ben Chilwell, Axel Disasi, Raheem Sterling off payroll between now and Monday. So I do think we'll be talking about Chelsea on Monday, but maybe not in terms of incomings.
Well, there you have it for the final time in this transfer window. Crookie, thank you for joining me. Remember that you can keep up to date with the latest rumours, done deals and everything in between, not only with the window, but Alex Crook's transfer notebook on our website, talksport.com. The window is in association with our own bookie, TalkSport Bet. Download the app or head to talksportbet.com to get involved. 18 plus, T's and C's apply, begambleaware.org.